Well, hello everyone, and welcome back into Crypto's News. It's me, Omar Bam, aka Crypto, here, ready to be live with you guys and give you an update on what's going on today, July 25th, 2025. I've collected what I think are the most important topics that are trending in crypto, and make sure you stay on top of things as we went through the week. I usually go ahead and put it up on the Crypto's News subreddit. That's CRYPT0S News on Reddit. I'm usually just finding articles through the week that I'll review and hopefully put on the show. You guys are always welcome to suggest stuff and check out the subreddit. But anyway, remember to hit that like button if you enjoyed these videos. Remember to hit that notification button, the little bell icon, and make sure you hit notifications for all so you're notified when we do these weekly videos if you want to stay on top of things yourself. Anyway, special thank you to the Patreon supporters. Can't let you guys, the YouTube sponsors and Patreon supporters, go by the wayside. You guys matter so very much when it comes to me continuing to upload this content. Appreciate every single one of you guys. We got plenty of stuff to get into. So without further ado, actually, no, with further ado, hey, Mr. Orange, hey, Kevin, and everybody else joining us live here. Okay, now without further ado, we're going to get started with our meme of the day. Don't always have a meme of the day, but I think it's appropriate sometimes when it feels like we're so patient, right? We bet on all the cards and hope for the best in crypto, it feels like. Wait for that moonshot, right? Anyway, hopefully we get to go to the moon. There's still qualms about whether the U.S. ever did, but I continue. So here we are on CoinGecko. We have currently Bitcoin at $117,125. It is down 1.2% over the last 24 hours and down just 0.3% over the last 7 days, so pretty much flat. When we're looking at overall market caps for crypto, we've dropped below $4 trillion. We're right now at $3.915 trillion, down 5.6% on the day. And Ethereum is flat on the day, 3.7% up on the week, so higher than what we're seeing with Bitcoin currently. We actually have XRP dropping off. Had a bit of a bad week, I guess you could say. Just very turbulent week. It's down 9.2% now over the last 7 days. And yeah, when we're talking about really, we zoom in a little bit and we look at what's going on over the last month. We have Bitcoin up 8.7% over the last 30 days and 79.3% over the last year. Yeah, it's had a phenomenal run, but let's check out what might be the stronger performer here over the last 30 days. We have Ethereum. It's currently up 52.5% over the last 30 days. Maybe a sign, and we're going to see plenty more of this, a sign that we might be seeing a real shift away from Bitcoin and over to the Ethereum attention at this time. Currently, Ethereum is only up 17.7% over the last year, but it looks like things have changed quite a bit. We zoom in on XRP. We actually have that up just a little bit less than, I guess, what you're seeing with ETH. It's up 42.9% over the last 30 days. So not too shabby despite some of the volatility that we're seeing recently. And over the last year, up 432.2%. So I guess props to you if you have taken and booked some profits on that one, or you're holding on and maybe are holding out for some more. So not Solana, let's see what the big picture is here. Oh no, over the last year, Solana has only gone up 8.8%. But it's having a stronger month. It's up 27.4%. A lot of the hype around some of these meme coins, NFTs that were prevalent on Solana that has died away somewhat, as we're going to be looking at as well. Let's see. Cardano actually not too bad. Cardano, similar to XRP, up 42% over the last 30 days. Definitely quite strong over the last year, 111.2%. So you basically doubled your money if you had put it in Cardano over the last year. And I'll move away now from the top 10 or 11 coins. Cardano was number 11. We do see that Ethereum dominance has ticked up. It was 10.9% the last time I did a video, and it is now sitting at 11.3%. Gas prices nice and low, but we're going to look at how gas consumption is actually up at record highs right now. So huge demand for the market. But what's going on with XRP? Wiped out a massive $20 billion in one day recently this week after bizarre ETF decision from the SEC, and we'll look at how it's bizarre after we take a look at this. Anyway, we saw the XRP price fall on this day, 9.6%. I think it was a couple of days ago, to $3.21, despite what had been a 6.1% gain over those past 7 days. It looks like the sell-off was amplified in a great deal because of the leverage positions. We only had $360,000, so basically nothing in shorts, but a huge 10,409% disparity to the long side, where there were 37.85 million long positions that were liquidated, maybe in part due to what happened with the SEC. So the SEC had supposedly approved conversion of the Bitwise 10 crypto index ETF, which featured coins such as Solana, it had Cardano, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and it had XRP, among others. When this did not actually just go forth and in fact got stayed despite being approved by the SEC, it created a scenario that caused quite the dump. So here's Nate Geraci. SEC Division of Trading and Markets has approved the Bitwise 10 crypto index ETF. So yay, let's all go long. And then shortly afterwards, just like what happened with the Grayscale digital large cap ETF, the approval order is stayed. So it's not really going forward beyond just being supposedly approved, pending further investigation, approvals, and maybe even regulatory certainty. So Nate called this a very bizarre situation. Definitely quite bizarre. And in other trouble, I guess you could say, for XRP, you had one of the co-founders, Chris Larsen, begin selling off a lot of XRP as it was climbing recently. So as the price was climbing, he, out of 4 wallets linked to him, was transferring about $175 million in XRP, or 50 million XRP, over to exchanges and services. So while it was going up, he was putting money into the exchange, very likely sold, and that might have also contributed to some of the drops that we saw. But I guess it makes sense to profit take. The part that bothered me always with XRP was that you had some of these co-founders with huge amounts of XRP, and you always have to wait for the inevitable dump when there is a pump, especially with something like XRP. We see it time and time again. The pumps are quite short-lived, although it has always crawled its way back up to the top, even hitting all-time high recently, about a week ago. And now just still reclaiming the $3 territory. So I guess it just has not really been the boogeyman destroying XRP that you have some of these co-founders selling a huge amount. And it is notable, though, that despite selling $175 million worth of XRP, he still has a huge amount of XRP left, I think in the billions of dollars. Yeah, $9 billion in XRP are still linked to Chris Larsen. So definitely more selling that will likely be coming forward here. What is he doing with all this money? Jeez. Anyway, you can only buy so many sneakers and houses, right? Anyway, corporate Bitcoin holdings surged 35% in 1 quarter, this post says, now nearing 900,000 BTC. Adoption is here. So I read that and I was like, whoa, 35% in 1 quarter? So this is getting faster and faster. But actually zooming into this, it looks like the only place where I could see that it had gone up by that degree was here in Q4 2024. So between Q3, the third quarter of 2024, and the fourth quarter of 2024, there was a huge interest in Bitcoin holdings by corporations that hold over 1,000 Bitcoin. So that was basically no companies until Q3 2020. Then the pandemic came along and it's like, oh, we better start buying Bitcoin. Maybe the world really is ending. I don't know what's going on here. And that was in the prior administration, funny enough, before we even saw some of these regulatory hurdles that were put up be overcome, where now it's like easier than ever, right? You're not just a first mover. You're not in the crosshairs from your shareholders by accruing some Bitcoin here, even conservatively, like a 1% or 5% amount, as like Anthony Pompliano used to say, like, let's just get off 1%, let's get to 5%, that kind of thing. Anyway, comments are pretty colorful. This will surely end well for the common folk. It always does. The companies that has actually the most amount of this 900,000 Bitcoin, so almost like 1 out of 21 of every Bitcoin that will ever exist. The company that has the most, 2/3 share, is actually Strategy, previously MicroStrategy. So they continue to buy more Bitcoin. They currently hold 607,770 Bitcoin, valued at $72 billion in current prices. They have just acquired another $739.8 million worth of Bitcoin, or 6,220 Bitcoins being added to the reserves. And we also had Trump Media and Technology Group, the company that has quite a majority hold by Trump himself, the company behind Truth Social. They have now accumulated, it is reported, $2 billion in Bitcoin and related securities like ETFs and things like that. In a press statement, Trump Media did mention that they had the option to convert these options that they have, these options strategies for Bitcoin related securities, ETFs, whatever you call it, leverage future positions, into actual spot Bitcoin holdings. So maybe they're seeing the relevance of actually holding the real thing versus some sort of derivative. Maybe they're concerned about the derivative market, or maybe they're just buying so much Bitcoin based on what is going to be announced from lawmakers here in the United States, supposedly on July 30th, when there's going to be this big crypto plan roll up, and they're preparing for that to get some big gains. I don't know what's going on here, but I just know that the acquisition of Bitcoin continues to grow that appetite. Also, JP Morgan is considering lending against, hey, what's up, guys? Duality, Mark, thank you guys so much for showing up. Curb Shifter, some of the most engaging people here on the show. I appreciate having you guys out here on short notice today. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. So JP Morgan is considering lending against clients' cryptocurrencies, which is a huge shift from Jamie Dimon, who heads up Chase, previously calling Bitcoin a fraud that would eventually blow up and was only useful for drug dealers and murderers. In fact, his tone has softened recently, as recent as May, when he said, I don't think you should smoke, but I defend your right to smoke. I defend your right to buy Bitcoin. Go at it. So really, they're just trying to profit off of cryptocurrencies. So they've already taken some steps to allow for lending directly against crypto assets such as Bitcoin and Ethereum next year, according to people familiar with the matter, who cautioned the plans were subject to change. And JP Morgan themselves, Chase, they did not want to comment on the matter. So we don't know officially that is going to be the case, but I can't imagine why they wouldn't, especially since you don't see other major banks allowing for this, right? Most banks aren't even holding, including JP Morgan, these assets on their treasuries. It's funny, right? It's like these corporations are becoming the new banks because they are holding outsized, I would say, influence on financial markets simply by accruing and holding these as strategies, reserve strategies, versus the banks that are still holding dollars. The fools. Hey, thank you so much, man. EI, thank you. You've been here since the beginning. What's the beginning, EI? How long have you been here? Since the old channel, like back in 2016, dude? Either way, thank you so much for the tip. I would love to know how long you've been around, man. I know you've been here for a while. I remember your name, but I don't know exactly when you started watching. I'd love to know that story. What was the Bitcoin price at when you started watching? Anyway, if you don't value your cryptocurrency, then you can go ahead and give it away, right? You can give it away now to reduce the public debt. This is just like, what? I couldn't believe this is real. But you can actually go to a government to the Treasury website and donate using a bank account, PayPal, Venmo, debit or credit card, money to reduce the public debt. I don't know that you actually can donate cryptocurrency, but you can donate money to reduce the public debt, which someone said would require every citizen, and that includes non-taxpayers, to contribute $100,000 each. And then by the next day, the public debt will already have grown and not be paid off. Anyway, absolutely ridiculous that they're doing this. Samson Mao, Bitcoin, early Bitcoin OG, basically like sending Bitcoin to a burn address, except it doesn't make the whole thing more valuable for everyone. It's just optics, right? If you're so worried about the public debt, why don't you pay it off? Come on, guys. What is the government even doing here? This is like such a joke. I can't believe this is real. The timeline, right? And then I wanted to bring this up as well because I've been a gamer pretty much my whole life, since like Nintendo back when I was 5 years old, and PC gaming in 1997. I used to have PC Gamer magazine and get the demo discs, and then I would play, I mean, you name it, like the first Hitman, Codename 47. I just play the demo over and over and over and over. So yeah, anyway, there's this whole situation going on with this platform called itch.io, where I would say like the majority of not safe for work games would be uploaded to and sold on, right? Maybe some of them made their way over to the most popular gaming platform these days, at least on PC, which is Steam. Well, it looks like they are no longer able to. They put out a blog post talking about how they have de-indexed all adult NSFW content from their browse and search pages. We understand this action, they say, is sudden and disruptive, and we are truly sorry for the frustration and confusion caused by this change. Recently, we came under scrutiny from our payment processors regarding the nature of some content hosted on itch.io. Due to a game titled No Mercy, I don't even know what it's about, which was temporarily available on itch.io before being banned back in April, the organization Collective Shout launched a campaign against Steam and itch.io, directing concerns to our payment processors about the nature of certain content found on both platforms. In other words, Visa, MasterCard are bending over to this group, Collective Shout, in order to basically remove all this content, all this NSFW content, which I think people should have the right to purchase if that's what they so want to. But it's, in a nutshell, censorship. And this censorship is being enacted by this group and by the payment processors. So it's, again, just choosing how people are allowed to spend their money. And another reason that we should be in crypto, a big reason that I got involved in the first place, was realizing that these payment platforms that were so widely utilized could be used to censor payments and individuals and, I mean, entire livelihoods of companies that have been built up around this kind of content, right? It doesn't matter what it is. I think Penguins, Charlie over on Penguins Zero did a fantastic video about this. I highly suggest you guys check it out, where he talks about this in a lot more length, but I think it directly reminds us why Bitcoin matters and why we should be using cryptocurrencies for payments. First, they came for the NSFW game developers, and I did not speak out because I wasn't an NSFW game dev. Steam was accepting Bitcoin in 2017. Yeah, I wonder if you guys remember that. But stopped due to fees. EI probably remembers that. What's up, EI? Hey, Nickel. Hey, so nice to see you, man. Another excellent YouTubers. You guys got to check out Nickel's show and subscribe for sure. Thank you, man, for making it out. I miss you, dude. It's been such a long time. You've been here. You've been in crypto since 2012. EI, that's wild, man. You must have even greater insight than I could possibly imagine, dude. So happy to have you. Thank you, man. I'm honored. So Steam was accepting Bitcoin in 2017, but stopped due to fees. The payment processor duopoly could have been avoided. This is what small block rhetoric took from you. So this was probably someone that was more on the Bitcoin Cash side of things, someone who did believe that block sizes, or maybe Bitcoin XT, whatever it was called, Bitcoin Unlimited, where we could have dynamic block sizes or even larger block sizes or even conservatively larger block sizes than 1 megabyte. Instead, we got SegWit, segregated witness, which I'm not going to get into the history so much. But in a nutshell, block sizes remain small. It led to higher fees for Bitcoin, which created a problem when it came to congestion, higher fees, and platforms wanting to accept Bitcoin because of how long it took, how many confirmations, how expensive it was for the user, dealing with refunds. I mean, you name it. I mean, I kind of understand why Steam took it off, but it could have been a situation that was avoided. Instead, people have to use other kinds of They have to go back to Visa and MasterCard, right? But I think we're having quite a shift, right? Because with this genius Stablecoin Act, with so much excitement about stablecoins, I mean, check out the Ethereum stablecoin supply surpassing $140 billion. So this is nearly doubled from January 2024 levels. So we're seeing a huge appetite for stablecoins. And this is something else that could be an alternative to using Visa and MasterCard. What a terrible revolution it would be if they started running all the stable coins, right? Anyway, I don't think stable coins are perfect. They're for the most part, I gotta get that out of my mouth. Anyway, most part, they are still pegged to the US dollar. I think that will change. There have been many projects that have tried to change how that works, such as Maker. None have really been extremely with long staying power, but that's not to say that they won't be and that they're still not around. I think there will be a shift eventually away from the dollar, but we're not there just yet. Anyway, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, we see that Ethereum daily gas used is at record levels. So check this out. I mean, wow, this is kind of surprising to me. So you hear often about how Ethereum is dead. There's newer technology. Why even bother getting Ethereum? But there's never been a time when Ethereum is not more used on the network, meaning the fuel for the network. So this is something that does drive the price up as well, right? Because you're going to need to buy ETH in order to fuel your transactions, whether super smart contractee or very simple as sending something. You're going to need some ETH in order to cover that. Even if you're going to be getting into a layer 2 network or getting out of it, you're going to need some gas for that. And we're seeing that this is driving up obviously the gas used, and just proof there's still demand for ETH, right? And then you had Andrew Keys spitting the truth. It says here on CNBC, I do not own Bitcoin. I'd rather have an iPhone than a landline, he said. I mean, when we see what you can do with Ethereum, right? I mean, it started this whole craze around NFTs and for decentralized finance that eventually had hanger-ons like Pump Fund and Solana come on board, right? But it started with Ethereum, some of these innovations. It certainly, I guess you could say, started on Bitcoin in certain ways, like with colored coins, but it didn't really take off until you had the true base infrastructure, the foundational layer level, in order to allow for this, right, on a big degree. So I would say Ethereum was the first one that made this happen. So I totally get this analogy of I'd rather have an iPhone instead of a landline, meaning like Bitcoin. I'd rather be able to do so much else rather than just, I guess, not even sending money. That's what Bitcoin was supposed to be, rather than just buying money and then holding it. Ethereum has 50x'd Bitcoin over the last decade. So check out this segment here on CNBC.
So you're an Ethereum guy. Do you own Bitcoin?
I'm not, I do not own Bitcoin.
None.
I'd rather have an iPhone than a landline.
Ooh, that's like a sick burn, the kids might say. But the sick burn is that Bitcoin has done a lot better than Ethereum over the last decade.
That's wrong. Ethereum has 50x Bitcoin over the last decade. If the price of Ether per Bitcoin over the last decade is materially improved. If over the last decade, since Ethereum started, you would be 50x wealthier.
Yep. There it is. I mean, like, there's misinformation. I would say it's more like people just don't realize, right? You only hear about Bitcoin. You don't really hear about Ethereum. It's enough to try to grasp Bitcoin. But if you wanted the gains, holding Ethereum for the longer term definitely proved better than holding Bitcoin. But even the correspondent here, who has been on CNBC for ages talking about crypto, didn't know that, which is like surprising to me. Like, dude, really? You didn't know that? Anyway, media audio is low. Oh, okay. I actually lowered it a little bit because I was having some issues. I thought maybe it would start cutting. So I can maybe fix that. Let's see. Thank you for the heads up. That should be much better. Let me know if it's now cracking and breaking, though. It might be. And EI, yeah, the two people that convinced you were Jeff Berwick and Da Vinci. Yeah, Jeff Berwick was pivotal in my understanding of just how the system was skewed against us. And funny enough, I heard about Da Vinci first when I was at Jeff Berwick's conference, and Da Vinci was walking by and someone said, do you know who that is? And I was like, actually, no, I have no idea. He was like the first content creator ever talking about Bitcoin, really early days. So it makes sense that you heard from him first. And Jeff Berwick was definitely talking about Bitcoin way before I was. I would watch his content before I decided to start mine. And then I was like, oh, I need a niche. Let me talk about, Ethereum. This looks really sexy. And nobody was talking about Ethereum back then. It was just still like so surprising to me. That was like on ETH Trader and the Ethereum Reddit posting videos, and barely anyone was. So I was like, there's an appetite for news surrounding Ethereum. So this show used to be called Ethereum News, if you guys don't know. And since I was a Bitcoiner first, and I've explored so many other things. So I try to cover as much of the space as possible these days. But yeah, man, we go back. Hey, Marcel, nice to see you, man. And everyone else. Okay, so let's continue on here. SEC chair Paul Atkins openly declares that ETH is not a security. I was like, whoa, I thought I would have heard about this everywhere. Is this true? So doing a little bit of digging into this, it was an excerpt, again, on CNBC, where the SEC chair said, in his words, similar to Bitcoin, I mean, the SEC has stated informally, more than formally, that Ether is not a security. And so, but it's obviously the ETH blockchain is a very key component for a lot of other digital currencies, such as stablecoins, right? So, it's up to companies to decide where they want to put their money and what sort of strategy they have. Obviously not for me to tell them, but I think it's encouraging that these sort of digital assets are being embraced by the marketplace. And I think that provides a good future for development. I wonder what would happen if ETH was a security to all these stable coins. I think they're too entrenched now. I mean, it was easy to target all these ICO companies that were issuing tokens that might not have been necessary, certainly weren't in most cases necessary, and say, oh yeah, either security, all these things are securities. But now we have things that are quite credible, created by credible companies that are out there. And now it just would not be easy to declare ETH a security. So instead, let's informally say that ETH is not a security. So that's the actual news. Informally, not a security, from the SEC chair. And another company that has grown their appetite for Ethereum, or at least holding on to it, is Bitmine, the biggest mining company out there. Apparently, they're now the biggest single ETH holder in the world. Their ETH stash is now worth over $2 billion as of July 23rd, according to a press release that was put out. There was a quote by the chairman, Tom Lee. I didn't even know Tom Lee was the chairman of Bitmine now. He's the co-founder of Fundstrat. That's how I knew him as. And he was the Litecoin guy, right? Litecoin going to $250,000. So the company isn't slowing down. At Bitmine, we surpassed $2 billion in ETH holdings just 16 days after closing on the initial $250 million private placement. We are well on our way to achieving our goal of acquiring and staking 5% of the overall ETH supply. So they're dead set on getting 5% of supply and staking it. More and more companies trying to make their crypto work natively by staking it. So the 5% target equals nearly 6 million ETH, and Bitmine says they're actively working toward it. So they only hold about 500,000 Bitcoin, so they're still quite a ways off. They have to 12x the amount of ETH that they have in order to get to that. But I'm sure in time, right, with everyone on the paper hands and all, they might be able to do so. Or by staking, right, and getting a good share of the portion that is out there. Geez, the rich get richer. That's a big knock against staking, and I can't say I'm against that one for sure. There are certainly some entities that by staking just grow their influence on the network to a great degree. Whether they can 51% attack successfully, I would say is not really relevant, or maybe even possible these days, but they still have quite a voice in this space, right? Anyway, Galaxy Digital apparently sold off. I just saw this before starting the show, so I wanted to share with you guys. I haven't vetted it, but the Bitcoin Therapist wrote on X, Galaxy Digital sells off 30,000 Bitcoin overnight, setting the price below $115,000. And ETH Raider said, Novogratz, so the founder of Galaxy Digital, Mike Novogratz, billionaire, also mentioned on CNBC that he sees ETH outperforming Bitcoin for the next 3 to 6 months. So more and more accruing of that ETH. And look at this post by ETH Raider. The max extraction arc in crypto is ending. The fundamentals era is beginning. ETH. So he points at these two charts over the same time period. We have Pump Fund, their token of the Pump Fund platform, where the true degenerates can go on and gamble on the latest rug pull. And that coin has just been down and down and down. And we're looking at ETH, really WETH, wrapped ETH, but it's pretty much tracking ETH versus USDC on Aerodrome, and it's just been up and up, right? So what's going on with Pump Fund? I was curious. They were sued over $5.5 billion meme coin scheme and face RICO and fraud claims. So this could be the end for Pump Fund here. I didn't know about this, but in January, they were sued first, and now it's expanded even greater. It's a class action lawsuit. The team behind the meme coin platform Pumped Up Fund is facing an expanded class action lawsuit that accuses it of operating a digital asset scheme resembling a rigged slot machine, extracting more than $5.5 billion from its users. They're naming the platform pseudonymous developer Bernie, its parent company Batten Corp, and several infrastructure platforms, including Solana Labs themselves, the Solana Foundation, Jito Labs, and the Jito Foundation. They ran an unlicensed casino-style operation. They used hype and rapid token cycles instead of disclosures or investor protections. Oh yeah, I mean, I could see the SEC approving this, right? If they had paid the mafia, then this would have been okay. The structure mimics a rigged slot machine where the first few players win by dumping their tokens on later ones, the filing says. There's no underlying product. I mean, the product is the scam, right? Or revenue, only a fast-moving cycle of buying, dumping, and collapse. So new charges in the updated filing: Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, RICO, they're being charged with, fraud, aiding and abetting, civil conspiracy, and unjust enrichment. The plaintiffs are seeking to cancel all Pump.Fund transactions and recover damages. I think this could be the end for Pump Fund if it goes the way of this lawsuit. The suit also highlights the role of Jito Labs, the maximal extractable value strategies that they used. Just insane to see that. I wonder where that goes. That seems like one of the biggest cases that's taken place these days. And I found this video 3 days ago posted on the cryptocurrency subreddit. What would you do if your seed phrase was leaked by a police body cam? Check this out. The first cop doesn't seem to even realize what he's looking at. He's like, what is this? Siren? Are they going to like set off sirens at the fire station? Like,
I know, it would be on the normal state of Nevada badge.
Quick question. You have access to a database to see if somebody is staying in
So there's like steps too. I don't know what siren.
Oh, this is that crypto shit.
just a crypto stuff.
This is a crypto
phrase. Oh, okay, that's
Phrase.
Oh, okay.
Remember how
Yeah.
I was telling you guys
Yep.
random words?
Okay.
So he might have insurance stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. I mean, it's just the ludicrousness of this video is like hilarious to me. The second cop barely knew what it was. The first cop clueless, and the guy in the car keeping his seed phrase in the car on a written piece of, like, is this real? This looks legitimate. I wonder where this went. I have no idea beyond this video what's going on here. Megcel Pegshi said, that's why I don't have the 25th word written down. Not in the same place anyway. It gives me enough time to migrate to a new wallet. What do you mean the 25th word? Isn't it only 24 words? It's either 12 or 24 words seed phrase. What is going on with this guy, dude? Yeah, write down the 24 words and you're still giving it away. Anyway. So what's going on with seed phrase, as it says here on Cointelegraph, is a mnemonic code of 12 to 24 words to recover one's crypto wallet. Unlike the private key, which is a lot longer, you can use a master seed phrase to access all the private keys in a wallet and restore access. So, like, how difficult would it be if, let's say, you wrote down 23 words and left out the 24th word out? How difficult would it be to brute force that? Probably not very difficult. To find one missing word, it would take about 0.002 seconds of computational energy and time to recover that word. But it goes up, right? The more words that are missing, then the longer and more computation it will take to figure out. So I would say it gets more difficult around the 6 missing word section. It would take 2.3 million years at current computation. And actually, I don't even know when this article came out, but let's say a very long time. And to find 11 missing words, it would take 82.3 sextillion years. So you're better off splitting your seed phrase in two and putting like half here and half there if you must go this route. Although, as others have pointed out, what if you get Alzheimer's? What if you have some sort of mental thing happen, like happened to me? And I couldn't remember passwords to save my life back when I deleted my channel. I forgot most of everything. I actually experienced that myself. What do you do in that situation? I don't know. Throw it out the window. Just forget about your lost crypto. And another fun fact, I was browsing Steam. So speaking of Steam games the other day, yesterday, and there's this game that was just released that is you searching for a hard drive that has a lot of missing money in it. I'm like, I wonder what real life scenario could have inspired that game. And I wonder if that sad bloke, I believe he's in the UK, has realized, and maybe he's even getting some money from that project. I doubt it, but we might hear about a lawsuit there very soon since he didn't recover his hard drive, and the landfill is now officially closed where he had dumped this hard drive that had so much Bitcoin in it, right? Like millions and millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin in today's prices. Anyway, continuing on. So looking at the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis money supply, always fun to look at the money supply growing. Basically, since a small reprieve in 2022 where we dipped a little bit, money supply has been going up, just broke an all-time high ever amount of money. And similarly, Bitcoin continues to track the money supply, which, hint, hint, is not going to reverse permanently and go down. In fact, it's going to exponentially go up, which is, I think, the ultimate thesis for buying Bitcoin and whatever blue chip cryptos you think would follow similar trajectory. They're probably not pump fund things you can buy. Anyway, there's a lag, as I've mentioned time and time again. And now with money supply surging to new highs, it should really be no surprise that the Bitcoin price is also tracking. So I expect that's going to continue. I even said on Twitter today, I don't believe in the 4-year cycle. Just like money has no cycle anymore, money supply inflation, I don't think that Bitcoin will have a cycle. I think it'll just be, normal corrections followed by up and up and up, my friends. That's really my thesis here. And I'll finish up here with our quote of the day. Time flies over us, believes its shadow behind, by Nathaniel Hawthorne. So it's not directly related to crypto at all. Maybe it is related to crypto, but I thought it was a nice quote while looking today for something to share with you guys. Anyway, that's the show that I've put together as we wrap up this week, July 25th, 2025. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I look forward to catching you guys next time. A deep reminder that I appreciate y'all. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, hit the notification and notify all, and share the video wherever you guys can. It does help the channel grow so we can continue to grow it back to like the highs that we had it back in the day. I think there needs to be a good channel that's not just shilling you guys scams and trying to get money on the backside for advertisements. As you can see, no ads on the channel. Continue to keep it that way as much as possible. And it's in large thanks to your guys' help. So thank you. Take care. Much love and stay cryptic. Peace.